Hello everybody, this is Keith here again. I want to start a repot of this Dendrobium Frosty dawn. Excuse me. It's not been doing too bad. It's working from two ends of the plant, so that this end of the plant we've got tall canes that are doing quite nicely. On the other end of the plant the canes are shorter. Now you can probably see on here there's been some chewing of the leaves. I ignored that because it never got any worse and there's been no more problems for a while. But I've been watering my plants, and I hope you can see in there that something has had a go at the tip of that leaf. Now again, there hasn't been any more attack since I've seen that one, and the leaf's still growing, so it's not completely gone, but it is something that very clearly needs looking at. This is a black hair type, as the saying goes, and you can see that best on this cane. We'll see if we can get in a bit closer and keep the focus. There's a dark fuzz on all of that. It's actually on the leaves as well, but certainly the undersides of the leaves, but it's not quite so obvious. But you can see probably fairly well that we've got some dark hairs which give it its name. I bought this in March 2019 at the Bournemouth show, and as I say, it's grown quite well. It hasn't, as far as I can see, put out any new growth yet. A lot of my other dendrobiums are doing at various points, and I want to have a look in this pot and see what it's doing. What I will do before we get quite into that is I want to show you something. People who've been following my channel for a bit will recognise this as one of the nobile, species nobile, I got from Burnham's, and this is the one, the albiflorum, that was attacked by a slug, which I got rid of and repotted it. The interesting thing is that there, struggling to show it well, where are we? That in there, come here. That there is a growth that was attacked by the slug, but it's still growing. And if we come round here, you can see it even more clearly. That large one, just there, is another one that's been attacked by the slug. But if you now look down at the bottom of this one, just there, we've got a brand new growth. So in fact that slug's not done it any harm at all. And the other curious thing that I'm absolutely fascinated by is, since I've got it, we've got nubbins developed at several points along this cane. There's one that is, where am I looking? There's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 or 4. Something I really was not expecting at all. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether they're flowers or keikis. We'll see. Anyway, let's have a look what's inside this pot for a start. Let's see what, if anything, we've got happening. It's in the Westland compost, and as always it's not been draining very well at the bottom, but we have got roots, and we've got some nice roots, which is a real surprise. I was not expecting such a nice set of roots as this. I really was not. Yes, we've got some dead stuff, you know, and it's going to be poor underneath the bottom, but we have actually got some new roots off the two new ends of the plant, so that is very obviously good news. Have we got some root to take off? Yeah. Some bits of root. There is here an old root with a new tip, so that's an interesting development. But we have got something that's not necessarily all that great. I'll get rid of this stake, I think. So you can see what I'm up to, which is really the purpose of the exercise, isn't it? Now, I really don't know an awful lot about black hair types. I've been doing a little bit of research, but they're not very well served by the literature as far as I can see. They're there's a whole group of them. Some people say treat them like nobiles, but keep them a bit warmer. I honestly don't know, and if anybody's got any ideas for care and getting them to reflower, well, I'd be very grateful to see it. But looking at this, you know, we've got some. There's a bit there that's gone, but that's old. That's an old bit of cane in there. So overall, things aren't too bad. Say something's had a go at it. I'll have to rinse all this stuff off under the tap and then trim it. I mean, the roots are live. They're sticking to the medium, so the medium's not as bad as I thought. And you've got new tips. I've not seen that on dendrobiums before. So you've got a new tip there, you've got a new tip here, you've got a new tip there. So it isn't branching, but it is putting new tips out on old ones. So you've got 4 new tips, as I can see, just like that. So on the whole, that's a pretty good root system. So there's lots to be happy about with that. And it looks as if it wants to become... Oh, there we are, look. We've got 2. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, that's 2 plants. I don't think they've ever actually been... I think they are 2 plants. I've obviously not picked that up when I repotted it before, but I'll probably put them back into the same pot, because I haven't got pots that I can get them down into, I don't think. That would probably do for that particular one, but am I better doing that or using something with a bit, mix some of this Westland small bark and ceramis with some coarser bark, some medium bark that I've got, because I do think this probably wants to drain a bit faster. Now, looking at this one, we've got 3 new tips on this one, so this is definitely doing okay. Again, some dead roots, all from the back of the plant, all up here, but down the front we've got some good stuff. this one, now I can see a bit better. We've actually got some quite good roots coming down there, and again the dead stuff is coming from the back of the plant, so that's great. I'm quite happy with that now that I know what I've got. So I need to wash these out, give them a good spray of hydrogen peroxide, clean the pots, and try and make some sense of what I've got, and I'll see you very soon. Right then, back again. I've rinsed the roots, I've trimmed off the dead stuff. It's got hold of some of this this stuff, and it's not coming off, and I'm not going to fight it. I want as many of these roots as possible. There were not that many bad ones, but it's cleaned up. All the bad ones were exactly where I expected to be, up into the middle. Exactly the same with this one. Not quite such a good root system, but as we said before, we've got these new tips there, we've got some decent roots, and we've got some new growth, so we're okay with that as well. So what am I going to do with it? Well, I haven't got, I could try potting them down into something like that. That would be one way of doing it, but I've only got room in that for one of them. I could reuse the pot which I used before, which they didn't seem to object to too much, and then I can put them in sort of side by side rather than end and end, and give them room to go this way, because I can get both of them in and we know which way they're going, so they will go in there. A little bit cramped, but they're probably going to prefer that, and I'd prefer it because I don't want to have a lot of fresh air underneath them where it's all going to get rather... The alternative is to use this one, which is shallower. It's the same diameter as the previous one, but it's shallower, and if I do that and put both of them in it, then that is much further down. I don't know how well we're going to see that, but they're much further down into the pot before we even start, and I think that's probably the way I'm going to go. I'd very much prefer to have some have it in an air cone pot for obvious reasons, but I think this is going to have to do the job. It's fairly well peppered with holes in the bottom, but I don't think this is going to stand anything else. Now, I'm not going to use Westland again. It didn't seem to be bothering them too much, but what's bothering me about it is the variety in size in the bark, because you're going from stuff like that, which is the kind of thing I'd expect dendrobiums to want, right down to really fine stuff. So it's no real wonder it's not draining, because if there's a lot of stuff that size, and that's what it appears to be, then we've got an issue. So I'm going to do that, but this time I'm going to use orchid focus bark, which is a bark, and again it's a mixture of bark, but it's much more like I think I'm going to use. I've used this very successfully in the past, and I think this is going to be a good start. Now then, this is where it's going to get interesting, because I've never tried potting up two plants in the same pot before. So, put that one in, it's a bigger one, and bring it all over to one side so that the growth, which is going that way, has got room to go. Put this one in it in the same orientation, oddly the smaller plant seems to have the longer roots. We'll get them both in like that, and now see if I'm dexterous enough to get it all in here and do some good. So far, so good. Sorry if I'm reaching across and it's making the lens grumble. I'm using my iPad as a viewfinder for this. I find that is a much better, gives me a much better idea of what I'm actually seeing on the video than trying to use a little mini screen around the back of the camera. But that's only on for a couple of minutes and then it'll try and go off again, so that's what I was rather afraid of, that one of them was going to end up trying to rise in the pot as it all went in, so I don't want it to rise too much. I do hate it when it goes crunch like that. I mean, the big one looks like it's gone down a little bit too far and the little one's not gone down far enough. Right, I think that's done a reasonable job. It's now in bark. We've got some roots near the top which I would prefer not to have, but I'm sure that'll sort itself out. So that now has been swapped over into plain bark, sort of a mixed small medium bark, so I think that'll drain a lot better. All I can do is now wait and see what happens. So, a couple of Dendrobium things to talk about. Not very much else to say at the moment, but I think on that basis I'll say goodbye and hope to see you again soon. Bye.